Welcome to This Week in East Brunswick. This week, almost 50 township employees were laid off in a series of steps to decrease the projected $4.5 million deficit in the 1995 municipal budget. Over 200 employees, their families, and other residents went to Monday night's Township Council meeting in hopes of receiving explanations for the unexpected budget cuts. We'll have complete coverage of that meeting. At the library on Sunday, parents and children packed the meeting rooms for a puppet performance sponsored by the Human Relations Council. And they're back. Dolly Vasta and veterinarian Dr. Brian Johnson discussed the basics in picking a new pet on The Pet Doctor. All of this and more is coming up next, but first here's a rundown of the Channel 8 program schedule for the beginning of February. Monday, tone your top and abs too with Lenore Kulik first thing in the morning. That's on Look Great, Feel Great at 10 a.m. Stories for preschool children follow at 10:30 on Stories from the Library. Tuesday evening, tune into Channel 8 for the show for kids, Just Kidding, at 7 o'clock. And at 7:30 on Tuesday, Paul Hansen discusses estate planning on You and Your Money. Learn the ways of Cupid at 8 o'clock with Judith Lebline and New Jersey archery champion Doug Joyce on Exercise the Right Choice. Wednesday evening at 7:30, Dr. John Kopko, Superintendent of Schools, and his guest, Dr. Joanne Magistro, talk about the kindergarten program in East Brunswick. And on the second half of Spotlight on Education, find out what the school bond referendum is all about with an overview of the proposal. At 8 o'clock on Wednesday, tune in to Teen TV for a look into the lives of East Brunswick teens. And on Thursday, join us again at 7 and 8 o'clock for another edition of This Week in East Brunswick. Be sure to watch the Channel 8 programming guide for dates and times of high school sporting events, and the Channel 8 Community Bulletin Board for information about organizations and events.
We need to know how it's possible that such a significant matter could be so recently discovered and no one had any inkling of it prior to the 17th of January. We also would like to know how much exactly is the shortfall, and we'd like to see if this can be documented.
The last position that anybody ever takes, and this is what kills me the most, is layoffs.
And what I see happening here is that the Township of East Brunswick played the one-time shell game in 1994, and the people that they want to pay for the one-time shell game are the employees of the Township in 1995.
Those were the comments and questions raised by municipal employees, union representatives, and residents at Monday night's Township Council action meeting. Monday's meeting was the first since Mayor Ira Skowski announced major layoffs and severe budget cuts to make up an expected $4.5 million deficit in the 1995 municipal budget. The layoffs came within 2 days of the mayor's announcement, and those let go found out on Friday. Oskowski explained the reasons why the layoffs had come so quickly.
Last year, everybody in this room knows that I proposed a 6-cent increase in the municipal tax rate. What would that have given me? That would have given me 12 cents this municipal year. I honestly believe that if I would have had this increase, that a major part of the salary reduction, staff reductions that took place could have been avoided. That's number one. What caused the gap? That was one thing that caused the gap. There was also a loss completely of various one-time revenues that were used last year, never to come back, never to be seen again in this municipality. There was also a reduction in tax rateables. $4.5 million in tax rateables were reduced in fiscal year 1995.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
What was the cause of that reduction in tax rateables?
Just the marketplace. Rateables have been going down over the years.
So the assessments have...
Yes, and I stated on the record also that there has been a strong stance within this municipality not to have development. And when you don't have development, you don't have increased rateables. And when we've been through what we've been through over the last 3 or 4 years, we have also not been able to rely on the economy to increase those rateables. The late 80s, Mr. Heffernan, allowed us major increases in rateables. The 90s allowed us major reductions in ratables. Last year I was stable. This year I'm at $4.5 million reduction in ratables. Some other things, and I just want to point this out, and this was brought up in negotiations last year with various unions, that I expected various increases in expenses. Health benefits within this municipality went up $591,000. Solid waste went up to almost $200,000. Recycling, $100,000. Library, close to $150,000. Various overtimes in various departments went up about $150,000. And various street sweeping costs went up $60,000, giving me an increase in costs just for those items of about $1.8 million. I proposed a 6-cent, actually close to a 6-cent increase last year, okay? That 6-cent increase was changed. Mostly, that's why I point my finger to Mr. Clark, because Mr. Clark, it's very easy. I'll tell you how many calls I received when we were budgeting about Mr. Clark. Now I'm saying to you, those one-time revenues were proposed during the process last year. And it's very easy for Mr. Clark to call up all the union leaders and say, oh, the mayor's a jerk. But I'll tell you something, when we were going through the process last year, and I explained to Mr. Clark that I would have to avoid layoffs last year if we left the 6 cents in, not once did he say to me or anybody else say to me, don't worry, Mayor, we want to avoid layoffs long term, we'll throw the 6 cents in. I'm saying to every resident in this room that when budget was cut last year to bring it down to 0, okay, that had a major impact on this municipality going forward.
First of all, Mayor, no one here is trying to point the finger at you as a council. We're trying to get information and find out really what the picture is, because we know more than these people in the audience that are asking the questions. We haven't been briefed, we haven't received information.
Municipal Employees Union representative Dr. Simon Bosco questioned why the union was not called in to discuss other possibilities other than layoffs.
When I met with the members of administration, there was absolutely no discussion of alternatives. The meeting said, quote, there are going to be X number of layoffs within your group based upon our determination of the budget review. Now let's sit down and make certain that we do the layoffs as properly and humanely as possible. And for that, I give the administration credit, because the administration at least attempted to minimize the anxiety unnecessarily among the employees. But at no time were any discussions raised, were any balloons floated, or were any hypotheses placed on the table for alternative to a layoff. We were not part of the budgetary process. We were not asked to become part of the budgetary process, nor were we asked for any input into the budgetary process. So please do not characterize our unions as having sat idly by while you did what you were going to do.
First, I'm not saying sit idly by, but when the administration called all the unions into their office, clearly that is the time that it could have been expressed and there could have been discussions. And I'm saying, and I don't want to end it there. I don't want to end it there. I want to add also that the time has not ended for discussions as to where we're headed. But decisions as far as the layoffs are very, very strong, sir.
Many residents spoke against the layoffs during the public portion of the meeting. Some blamed individuals, and some blamed politics as the cause of such a major deficit.
Gentlemen, I would like to recognize publicly your new interpretation of the Declaration of Independence: of the people, by the people, for the people, and most recently, screw the people. Your house of cards is about to topple. It's lost its aces, and it's leaning on its jokers.
That was pretty obvious in the last budget process when we used one-time revenues, that if there was not a new source of one-time revenues, you would have a deficit in the budget. That's very clear. And I'm not going to apologize for reducing the spending of the administration last year. That's one thing that gives long-term stability to any town. You have to reduce spending. If you don't reduce spending, you can't function government.
Turn over, Mr.
Gentlemen,
So
please.
Ended in November.
Please.
Isn't that the
Please.
season end?
I'll admonish the public and I'll admonish the councilmen. Please, let's let Mrs. Vasta finish, and then I'll give you all an opportunity to be heard. Okay? Good. Thank you.
Let's keep politics out of it. We haven't had our turn at bat with this budget yet, and when we do, we'll work with it, and we'll work with all of you and the administration to see that it works out for everyone. But to criticize us at this point is unfair, and we want to work with all of you to come to a reasonable solution to this.
We have areas in this community that can be cut. People should not be cut before things.
On my particular home, I've saved $655 in taxes because my taxes were increasing at a rate less than inflation. Based on $1,091, which was my 1994 tax bill for the municipality, I got 7 months free in the last 7 years. I think that's pretty good. So I'm not afraid to pay the piper, Mr. Mayor. If I have a big increase, if you guys say, Mr. Davidoff, you got to pay 15 cents to keep these people, I say keep the people. I'll pay the people.
101 and 102 salary increases, $515,000. Insurance, $592,000. Solid waste, close to $200,000. Recycling, close to $100,000. Library, close to $150,000. Overtime premium costs went to close to $143,000. Increase, this is. And street sweeping, close to $60,000, which came out to, as I said, $1,700,000.
Some municipal workers and their families made emotional pleas to the mayor and the council to reconsider the layoffs.
I strongly suspect improprieties in the decision-making process regarding the terminations and hereby call for an enjoyment of the terminations and insist on a complete and independent investigation as to why we are suddenly in this predicament. Our elected officials and township administrators must be held accountable for allowing our financial situation to deteriorate to a point where the recent actions have been necessary. They are the ones who should lose their jobs for failing to perform, not those who are performing, especially such as Ms. Sullivan, who gave us such value for our dollar. Patty has cried since Friday, not for the loss of her job, but for the loss to her seniors. I cry with her, too, for I've seen these people and I know what a tremendous loss this is to them. Thank you.
Do not rip the heart and soul of this township out. These people are your heart and soul. Love them. They love you, and they love the citizens. Do the right thing. No more bickering, no more petty stuff. Get together and get your job done, okay?
Remember, what we do gets you guys in them seats. We make you look good by the job we do. So the only thing I'm going to say, you guys don't get a clue what's going on. Because when it snows, he's going to be left to plow. We'll give you some lessons and give you the slush boots.
The discussion ended with Mayor Oskowski agreeing to meet with union representatives and each council member to discuss possible alternatives to future layoffs. The mayor stood firm in his decision. In other council news, members of Junior Girl Scout Troop Number 12 were honored for helping out with the Clean Communities program.
Whereas the Clean Communities program was established by the State Department of Environmental Protection and Energy to encourage communities to promote the cleanup of litter in their neighborhood. And whereas a participant in the Clean Communities program, the Township of East Brunswick coordinates a program for litter pickup and removal and encourages and organizes the activities of citizen volunteers in litter reduction and prevention. And whereas on October 29, 1994, members of Junior Girl Scout Troop Number 12 participated in the 1994 Clean Communities program by performing the cleanup of Bicentennial Park. Now, therefore, be proclaimed that I, R. Oskowski, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, do hereby commend the members of Junior Girl Scout Troop Number 12 for their participation in the 1994 Clean Communities program and for their genuine concern for the environment and pride in keeping our community free of litter. Thank you very much.
The East Brunswick Library's meeting rooms were filled to capacity last Sunday with children and adults who came to see a puppet show about cultural diversity. The East Brunswick Human Relations Council was formed in 1991 and sponsored the event by Puppetrix, entitled, "I Like You and Our Differences Too."
Isn't that like how?
Sure, but we say how only in the movie.
Oh, you mean Native American people don't say how, they say ho?
Yeah, according to our languages. Every language might have another way of saying hi. In my tribe, we say ho, everybody.
Hey, can you all say ho?
Ho!
Oh, Crystal, you're all dressed up in, it looks like in traditional clothing here.
Yep, and I even have my special moccasins. And you know what? My grandma made this dress when she was a young girl like me. And I'm going to write a whole show of my own about how my grandma says that we're all different, and I'm trying to find Rashawn because Rashawn said that he would be in my show too,
Rashawn?
Yup.
Oh, yeah, well, what's Rashawn gonna wear then?
Well, Rashawn is going to wear dashiki because at Kwanzaa celebration at Christmas time, he was wearing one, and I asked him if he would wear it in my show.
Oh, great. That's a traditional robe that people would wear in Africa, right? A dashiki.
Yeah,
right.
Where his family came from in that part of the country. And I can't find him anywhere, so if you tell him, when you say I'm looking for him, okay?
Sure, we'll let him know. Yeah, we'll let him know you're looking for him. Maybe we could lighten you up a little bit with the song. I got this song, because, here we are in America, and America is made up of people that came here from all over the world. And we eat foods from all over the world, and even our language. Our language comes from all different cultures too. This language that we speak is part German, part Latin, and part Greek. With Celtic and Arabic, call it a heap. Well amended by the people on the street. Choctaw gave us the word okay. Vamoose, a word from Mexico way. All of this is a hint, I suspect, of what comes next. I think that my whole world soon, mama, my whole wide world soon, mama, my whole world soon gonna be get mixed up. I like Polish sausage, I like Spanish rice. Pizza pie is also nice. Corn and beans from the Indians here, washed down with some German beer. Marco Polo traveled by camel and pony, brought to Italy the first macaroni. You and I, just as well as we're able, put it all on the table. I think that my whole world soon, mama, my whole wide world soon, mama, my whole world soon gonna be get. Clap your hands. Soon, mama, my whole world soon.
Well, anyway, I'm better than you are. You are not. I'm first. Well, so you're first. Well, you come up when it's still cold outside, and that doesn't show that you have very much sense anyway. You're not even wearing a coat. Well, we're first because we're brave. Daffodils are braver than roses. Are not. Are too. Are not. Are too.
Hey. Will you two stop arguing for a minute? What are you arguing about anyway? Hi, Rosie. Hi, Daphne. How are you?
Hi, Bob. Well, Rosie has me all upset because Rosie says that roses are better than daffodils. Everybody knows roses are better than daffodils. What do you give your sweetheart when you want to make up after an argument? You give roses, don't you? You wouldn't give daffodils.
Well, that's not true. Sometimes we give you the one. But wait a minute. There's no reason why you guys have to argue because, you're both beautiful. Right? Daphne. Daphne, you know, I love you because you're on the first flowers that come up in the springtime. And as soon as I see your beautiful golden color, I know that the warm weather is just about here, and the sun is going to get stronger, and summer's almost here. And Rosie, you know, you come out in the summertime, and your beautiful color comes out all over, and your smell fills the air so beautifully. You're both so beautiful. This movie's sweetheart. I love you both.
Hi, welcome back once again to your Pet Doctor. I'm Dolly Vasca, and my co-host.
I'm Dr. Brian Johnson from the Cranberry Veterinary Hospital in East Brunswick.
And it's so good to be back here with you doing this again.
Yes, it's been too long.
Yes, it has. And I must say, thanks to all of you, because this is by special request that we're back. Yes. And I'm happy to be doing it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people who have asked about it. So let's see if we can help some people.
Let's see what we can, how we can humor each other for a while.
We'll educate the people if we can, and then I'll pick on you later.
Later. Oh, that sounds good. We had talked earlier about this, and it seems to me that animals lately, pets, are more prominent than they ever were, whether it's the media, whether families adopting pets. Is this a cycle kind of thing that it, you know, runs maybe every 7 years?
Not every 7 years, but it seems to be this period in our times. We're relying more upon the animals. They're our best friends, they're family members. We now give them different functions in our family. Sometimes we have them teaching young children responsibility. Other times we now use them for work purposes, either as seeing eye dogs, as hearing dogs, or even as hunting dogs. Probably the primary function, though, is just a family member.
Just somebody to love.
Well, you know my Doberman. She's my best friend.
Heather.
Yeah.
And my Duff, he's mine. Well, that's true. But we were talking earlier, and in fact, it was Dave who asked, how far back, actually, say, did dogs go?
They went back a long, long time, well into the Egyptian area. You probably know more about that personally than I do.
Yes, yes. I used to help Cleo with her eye makeup. Keep going.
They go back a long, long way, and it might be interesting one of these days to try to get charts and show where the various groups of dogs have come from.
You know, I bet that'd be an interesting show, and I know I would be interested, and I'm sure our audience would also. Now, the Egyptians were great cat lovers.
Yes, they actually worshipped cats. The black cat, you'll see in their sphinxes and their tombs, they had statues to the cats, and it was punishable by death to kill a cat. Which is not a bad idea.
Which is not, I was going to say, I can go for that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's today's stress that we all live under. We're always in a hurry. Families are always in a hurry. They have dance lessons, acrobatic lessons, whatever they go through.
And then when you come home, you sit down with your dog or cat and you pat him, and the simple act of patting the dog or cat, you release your tension, you get a better look on life, and you're able to handle the stress. I'll go home at night, my Doberman comes in, she puts her head on my lap, and we just sit for a few minutes, and any of the tensions of the day will go. It's very true.
Well, you know, since we were together last, I have a cockatiel named Freddie the freeloader who has joined our family. And it's so interesting because no matter how tired you get up in the morning, behind his little covered cage, all of a sudden you hear him go. He's so happy. And if you uncover the cage, he's so happy to see you, and he just whistles and warbles to you. It is a great pick-me-up.
Well, birds are probably the least understood pet of all the ones we have. They bond just as closely as a dog or cat.
Oh, they do?
They have the larger birds. I'll bring some in future shows. They have life expectancies of 50 to 75 years. They get along. When I sit at night, I'll have my 3 dogs on the couch, my 5 cats, and the 2 birds running back and forth.
And a partridge in the pear tree.
Well, this is my house. This is the way it is. I'll bring in a picture and show you.
I know it is, because I've been there, and so is mine. we're going to wrap this piece up now, Brian, but because we are going to be talking about picking out a pet and what is the best kind of pet to pick out for your family as the series goes along. How does it sound?
We'll try to give them as much information as what is good, what you look for, and some helpful hints. That sounds good.
Okay, to all of you out there, come join us next time. In the meantime, take care.
And have a good day, folks.